a single-dad mechanic, was returning home when he noticed an unconscious female cop on the roadside. The rain had just started when Daniel Carter, a 35-year-old single dad and small-town mechanic, closed the garage for the night. His hands were still greasy, and his back ached after a long day fixing engines. All he could think about was getting home to his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, who was probably waiting with her favorite stuffed rabbit and asking the same question she asked every night. "Daddy, did you fix lots of cars today?" Daniel smiled to himself as he drove down the quiet country road. But a few minutes later, something unusual caught his eye. At first, it looked like a shadow lying near the roadside. Then he saw the green uniform. Daniel slammed the brakes. About 20 feet ahead, a young female police officer, maybe around 28 years old, lay motionless on the wet pavement. Her patrol car wasn't anywhere nearby. Her cap had rolled into the grass, and there was a dark stain of blood near her shoulder. For a moment, Daniel's heart froze. "Hey, can you hear me?" he called, running toward her. She didn't respond. He knelt beside her carefully, placing one hand under her head to keep it off the cold road. Her breathing was faint but steady. "Come on, stay with me," he whispered. Daniel looked around nervously. The road was empty. No other cars, no sirens, just rain and silence. His phone battery was nearly dead, and the signal was weak. He knew waiting could cost her life. Without thinking twice, Daniel gently lifted her and carried her to his old red pickup truck. Years of lifting engines had made him strong, but the weight of responsibility felt heavier than anything he had ever carried. "Hang on," he murmured as he laid her across the back seat. Then he drove. Vast. The small-town hospital was about 12 minutes away, but that night it felt like an hour. Daniel kept glancing in the rearview mirror. The officer hadn't moved. "Please don't die tonight," he said quietly. Finally, the bright hospital lights appeared. Daniel jumped out of the truck and rushed inside. "Help, I found a police officer injured on the road." Within seconds, nurses and doctors rushed out with a stretcher. They carefully lifted her and rolled her into the emergency room. A nurse turned to Daniel. "You brought her here." He nodded, breathing heavily. "Yes, I found her on County Road 7. The doors closed behind them. And suddenly, the hallway felt very quiet. Daniel sat in the waiting area, staring at the floor. His clothes were soaked with rain and smeared with blood that wasn't his. He kept wondering what had happened to her. A few minutes later, a nurse approached him. "Sir, what's your name?" "Daniel Carter." She gave a small smile. "Mr. Carter, if you hadn't brought her in when you did, she might not have survived." Daniel exhaled slowly. For the first time that night, his shoulders relaxed. 2 hours later, a tall man in a police uniform walked into the waiting area. "Are you Daniel Carter?" Daniel stood up nervously. "Yes." The officer extended his hand. "I'm Captain Robert Hayes. The officer you found, her name is Emily Hayes." Daniel blinked. "Your daughter?" The captain nodded. "Yes." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the captain said quietly, "She was attacked during a traffic stop tonight. The suspect fled. She managed to call for backup, but she collapsed before help arrived." He looked Daniel directly in the eyes. "But you found her first." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "I just did what anyone would do." The captain shook his head slowly. "No, son, not everyone stops." 3 days later, something unexpected happened. Daniel was at his garage changing the oil in an old pickup when 3 police cars pulled up outside. He frowned. "Oh, did I forget to pay a ticket?" But when he stepped outside, he saw Captain Hayes and Officer Emily Hayes walking beside him. Emily's arm was in a sling, but she was smiling. Daniel looked surprised. "You're okay." She nodded. "Because of you." Before Daniel could respond, Captain Hayes handed him an envelope. "What's this?" Daniel asked. "A thank you," the captain said. Daniel opened it slowly. Inside was a check for $50,000 and a letter. His eyes widened. I can't accept this." Emily stepped forward. "You have to." Daniel looked confused. "Why?" She smiled softly. "Because that night, you didn't just save a police officer. You saved a daughter." Daniel didn't know what to say. But the surprises weren't over. Captain Hayes pointed toward the garage. "You've been renting this place for years, right?" Daniel nodded. "Yes." The captain smiled. "Well, not anymore." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" Emily handed him another document. "We bought the building." Daniel stared at the paper. Then his jaw dropped. "You bought my garage." Emily nodded. "And we're giving it to you." Daniel felt his throat tighten. "Why would you do that?" Captain Hayes placed a hand on his shoulder. "Because good people deserve a chance to breathe." That night, Daniel drove home with tears in his eyes. Lily ran to the door when she heard the truck. "Daddy." He picked her up and hugged her tightly. "What happened?" she asked. Daniel smiled. "Something good. Really good." Then he looked at the sky for a moment. Sometimes life changes in the most unexpected ways. One simple act of kindness. One decision to stop the car. And one moment that reminds us that humanity still exists in the world. Because sometimes, helping a stranger on the roadside doesn't just save a life. It changes your own glowing star.